and welcome to Craft with Sarah. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make these 2 layered Valentine's Day greetings cards. They're really quick and easy to make on your Cricut and perfect for those last minute cards for the one that you love. Best of all, they come with an envelope template, so you can make sure your envelope is definitely going to fit your card. Let's find out where to get the free SVGs and how to make the cards. You can download the free cutting file for this project at craftwithsarah.com/free-SVGs or follow the link in the description of this video to go straight to the download page. The download comes in a zip folder and you need to unzip this before you can upload the files into Cricut Design Space. Once you've downloaded and unzipped the folder, it's time to get the SVG files into Cricut Design Space. Open up Design Space and start a new project, and then get into Upload over on the left, and then Upload Image. You can then either click Browse to find the file on your computer, or drag and drop it in. Make sure you choose the unzipped version of the folder, and then within there, you've got your 2 cards. There's the cupcake card and the heart card. There's also an envelope template, which I'll show you how to use a little bit further on in this video. The cards work in exactly the same way, so I'll just show you how to do it for one of them, and I'll choose the heart card. I'm going to double click in there, and then there's several different file formats in here. For Cricut Design Space, you want the one which starts SVG in the file name. I'll click and drag that in, and then it should look like this with all of the layers one on top of the other. If yours looks different and you see all the layers next to each other instead, that means you've accidentally uploaded the wrong file type. So if that's the case, click Cancel down here on the bottom, try again, and make sure you choose the one which starts SVG. Click on Upload, and then the card will appear in your recent uploads. So you can click it, and then press Add to Canvas. It should load in at the correct size, but just double check that your width is 10 inches and your height is 7. And if not, then change it to those to make sure you end up with a 5x7 inch card. This design has a lot of pink in it. I think there's 4 different shades. Let's just double check by clicking Color Sync. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, there are. If you don't have that many shades of pink, then you might want to change some of them to maybe a red. And to do that, just click on the layer you want to change. And then in the color box in here, you can set it to whatever you want. If you have a scoring tool for your Cricut, then you might want to add a score line to the base card to make it easier to fold. To do that, click on the card design and then press Ungroup over on the top. I'm going to hide my very bottom layer by clicking the eye icon that appears when you hover over it. And then select all to select the remaining layers, regroup them, and then hide the whole group by hovering where it says group and clicking the eye. And now we turn that base layer back on, and that was just a really quick way of hiding everything else. So that we just have the base card available. Go into Shapes and choose a score line. And then set it to the height of the card, which is 7 inches, and press Enter. Press Select All, and then Align and Center. And that puts the score line exactly in the middle of the card. However, we're not quite done yet, because if you were to click Make It, it puts the score line on a completely different sheet of card, which is not what we want. To tell the Cricut where to score, select both of the layers, and down the bottom of the Layers panel, press Attach. That Attach button is what tells the Cricut we actually do want that score line right down the rectangle. Press Arrange and Center Back to move this layer right down to the bottom again, and then we can turn on the rest of the layers of the card. It probably will have shifted the positioning a bit, which doesn't actually matter, but if you want to put it exactly as it should be looking, then you can select everything, either by clicking and dragging like I just did, or press Select All, and then go Align, Align Right, and Align Top. And that just makes it look a little bit neater on the screen. This is now ready for me to cut out, so let's go to Make It, and this will separate out all the colours. You can see my score line is now exactly where it should be on that base card. You can change the paper size in this drop down on the left, And you do need to do that for every single colour. This one it's already done because this is the same colour as my base card. But you can see if I go to a different colour, that one still needs changing. You can move things about by clicking and dragging on the rotate arrow. And if you press the shift key down on your keyboard when doing that, you can rotate it exactly 90 degrees and then move it upwards. So now that takes up less room on my bit of card, which means I'll have all of this bottom piece left to use on another project another day. So go ahead and get your screen looking exactly as you want it to. And if you're doing the other Valentine's Day card, it works exactly the same way. And then press continue to connect to your Cricut machine, get everything cut out from cardstock, and then I'll show you how to stick it together. If you'd like a little bit more extra guidance on how to use your scoring tool in a Cricut machine if you haven't done it before, then check out the link in the description to a separate video where I show how to do that step by step. Here are my 2 Valentine's Day cards all cut out, and I've just laid all the layers one on top of the other in order to check that I'm happy with the colours and that I haven't accidentally missed anything. I'll show you how to stick them both together, and we'll start with this one, the pretty little hearts. We're going to use a combination of glue and 3D foam squares to stick our cards together. However, for both of them, there'll only be minimal amount of the foam, just because I don't want them to get so thick that they'd be difficult to post. The glue I'm using is called Kalal. I really like it because it doesn't bend or wrinkle the cardstock like some glues can do, and I put it into these needle tip applicator bottles, which are going to be absolutely perfect for going around some of these really thin pieces of cardstock. The foam squares I'm using are from Dot & Dab. Mine are quite small, which is great for cards again because you're often working on a small area. But if your foam squares are larger, that's absolutely not a problem. You may just need to cut them smaller with a pair of scissors. I'm going to start at the bottom and work upwards. So let's move these layers apart until I'm left with my very bottom 2, which is the base card. And then this one which goes on top to show the little hearts through. This is going to be a glue layer, so I'll turn it upside down and add some glue. And it doesn't matter if you want to fold your card now or fold it when we're done. I think I'm probably going to fold mine once this layer is on, just because it'll be a little bit easier to line this up if the other bit's nice and flat. Check I've got that the right way around, which I do. Okay, so my score line is down the middle, and I'm going to line it up along the edge. Just get that nice and straight. Smushed my glue out a little bit there. I have to be more careful going forward. And now I just fold it. Actually, this wasn't a very good idea to fold it straight afterwards because it's pulling the glue away. But it worked. A little bit of dirt everywhere today. I don't know why. Okay, the next layer is this one, and this will be a foam square layer to give it a little bit of pop. I turned it upside down, and then going to add my foam on. As I said at the beginning, my foam pads are quite small, so they're going to go in this outline nicely. If yours are bigger, just cut them smaller with scissors. You want to make sure that none of your foam goes out over the edges, otherwise you'll be able to see it and it will look a little bit messy. So just try and keep it nicely contained on the cardstock. As well as going around the edge, we also need to put some foam squares in the middle, because if we don't, then this card, which is, quite a lot of it in the middle, it's not got anything to support it, so it will kind of do that and bend downwards and not look as good. So by adding just a few little extra pieces in the middle, it'll stop that from happening. There we are. Now I need to peel the tops off of the foam squares to reveal all of the stickiness underneath. And that's done. So let's line it up. I'm going to line up a corner and then the other bottom corner, and then just gently drop it down. And that way it's not actually stuck yet. So if I wasn't happy with the positioning, I could pick it up and move it, and it wouldn't cause any damage. But that's looking pretty good to me. So I'll push down to seal. Next we've got the heart layer with all these little cutouts on, and thankfully this one is a glue layer. All right, let's plop this on top. That's not a great turn of phrase, is it? Let's gently position this lovingly on top with care and attention. There we go. Got a few of these little hearts still connected. Move them out the way. Okay. Next is this outline, which is another glue layer. I am going to try and get my glue into those heart pieces. We'll see how it works because they are really narrow. Perfect. That worked well. Needle tip bottles to the rescue again. There's that one, and then finally I've got these two hearts to go in the middles. And I'm going to use foam for these ones to give them a bit of pop-up. But if you're worried about the thickness of your card when it comes to mailing it, then you might want to glue it instead. And finally, these little mandala ones will be glued, thankfully, because they're so thin. Right, first Valentine's card done. Now let's move on to the second one. And this is very, very similar. So it should go together nice and quick. All right, we'll start with this bottom piece, and I must have cut that upside down because all my nice texture on the card, like this side's really nicely textured, this side isn't, but this is the side that's going to be on show. So that wasn't very clever of me, was it? I must have put it upside down on the mat. Or am I? That's the way it's going to have to go, so I need to put the glue on the pretty side. Yeah. Oh, what a waste of pretty card. Oh well. I am not going to cut it again, so it will just have to do. At least the pretty side's showing on that one. There we go. And then next is this layer here, which I'm going to use my foam squares for. Just like with the other card, I'm going to go around the edge and also in the middle of the cardstock too. And push to seal. Next is the white layer, which is a glue one. So turn that upside down, grab the glue. This one will perfectly go on top of that cupcake. Like that. Excellent. And then we've got this one next, which again is a glue layer. In fact, everything we've got left is going to be glued. This is where the design starts coming to life once you add this bit on. There. And now I've got my letters. I find when doing a card with lots of little letters that it works out best if you place them all on the card before you start sticking. That way, just in case you accidentally spell it wrong or put something in the wrong place, it just means you've got everything sorted before you start gluing, rather than noticing halfway through. So there we go. And now I can just glue all these into place one at a time. Last letter going on. Well, technically the first letter, but I did them backwards. And there we go, that's the second card. All finished. And my two Valentine's Day cards. Two Valentine's Day cards all ready for me to write. If you want to make a matching envelope for your card, you can either do that before or after you cut out the card itself. I have a separate little piece recorded from where I showed how to use the envelope template with a different type of free card SVG, which is also available at craftedsarah.com. Rather than record the whole thing again, as it's exactly the same process, I'm just going to add that little clip in here now. But before that starts, I'll show you where to find the envelope with these Valentine's Day cards. When you look at your download folder, there's another folder in here called Envelope. And then it's the one which starts SVG in the file name. So get that all uploaded into Design Space, and then we'll see how to format it to make sure it's actually going to fit your card, and then how to stick it all together. Here's my envelope, and it looks a little bit weird at the moment because we've got this blue rectangle, but that's because we need to change that into a score line. If you don't have a scoring tool for your Cricut machine, then you can actually just hide or delete the blue layer, either by clicking it and clicking the eye in the Layers panel, or you can click the layer in the Layers panel and press the delete key on your keyboard, or click the little trash can and that will get rid of it. However, if you do have a scoring tool, it will be much easier to actually use it. So what I'm going to do, because I do have one, is click that blue layer again, go into my operations menu, and change it to a score line. It can be a bit tricky to see which layer is which, so I like to just name them in my Layers panel by double-clicking the name and then typing in there. The layer underneath is my big rectangle part of the envelope, so I'm going to write attach to this on here. And that's because I'm going to need to attach my score line to the rectangle underneath, just like we did with the card earlier in the video. Click on the envelope and press Ungroup to separate out the layers. The reason that this envelope comes in so many pieces is because otherwise it would be too big to cut on a Cricut mat. So we're going to need to cut the flaps and the middle of the envelope separately. Click the score line, press Shift on your keyboard and choose the Attach to This layer underneath, which we renamed, and then press Attach. Select all of the layers of the envelope again and group them back. And then let's just name this to envelope. Before I cut this out, I want to make sure it's exactly the right size for my card. So I'll click over to my card, and because I've already cut the base, I can delete that layer, or you can just choose to hide it. It's up to you. And then drag it over. It's appearing underneath the envelope at the moment, so we'll go Arrange, Bring to Front, and then I need to rotate it to fit the envelope. So let's rotate it 90 degrees and then move it into place. So at the moment, this envelope is appearing too small. So I'm going to need to make it a little bit bigger. I'll play about with it for the download I put on my website so that it should actually fit when it loads in. I'm not quite sure why it doesn't, because it definitely was designed to be 5x7, but you can see it's actually really easy to resize anyway. So if you're resizing it, you want to just resize the envelope to make sure that the card fits inside your scoreline rectangle here with just a little bit of a gap on the edges. And that means that it's all going to fit absolutely beautifully. I've already cut my card, so let's hide that one so it doesn't get cut again. And then go to make it. And then this is how it's going to look. So we've got, I'm going to use A4 paper. So I've got my main bit here and then my little flaps. I reckon I might be able to get that onto that sheet. Let's give it a go. Click the 3 dots and then move object. Move it onto that middle sheet. Let's see. Do you reckon I'll be able to fit it on? Just rotating it. Try and get them all on one sheet. Ah, perfect. So as long as nothing's overlapping, then you can definitely do that. So there we go. The Cricut thought I needed 3 sheets, but actually I'm only going to need 2. So go ahead, get your envelope looking exactly as you want it to. Get it cut out, ideally from either scrapbook paper or thin cardstock. You don't want to use thick card for this, otherwise it just won't go together very well. So something a little bit more lightweight is ideal. And then I'll show you how to stick it all together. Here are my pieces of my envelope ready to be stuck together, and I've chosen this pink polka dot pattern because I think that matches my Valentine's Day card nicely. And then on the back, it's got a little purple design. I'm going to start by taking the larger piece and then turning this upside down and folding it up along all of those score lines. So remember, each side has a score line on it. So I'm just folding up along all of those and pushing down to get a nice firm fold. Now I can turn it the right way up again, and I'm going to attach the flaps, and you've got 2 long ones and 2 shorter ones. Make sure you get them all the right way around when you're sticking them on. You could use glue to stick your envelope together, but I prefer double-sided tape because it's all instantly stuck. You don't need to wait about for it to dry. I like using this tape runner. It's called an Easy Runner Grand. The tape comes out so easily, and the top bit is refillable, so you don't need to buy a whole new contraption. I don't know what to call it. A whole new tape runner, I guess, every time. You can just buy the little bit that goes in the top. That wasn't a very good description, was it? What I really like about this is that super satisfying noise it makes. I love that click. So I'm going to go down all of these, and I'm going up to the score line, but no further than the score line. Then I can stick the pieces on. I've moved this all the way around now, so nothing's in the right place. I'm going to stick this following the score line again, and you can line up the edges of the flap to the edges that you're sticking it onto. So I'm just going all the way along here. Oops. Just push it down to get it nice and stuck. And that one, and one left. Okay, turn it over, and then we're going to make the envelope by folding in the 2 smaller edges, and then we'll stick the bottom one over the top. Once again, I've got my double-sided tape runner. Okay, try and get quite close to the edge. And then going down that side, and then also the little flap at the bottom. So down one side, and then the little flap at the bottom. Now I didn't do a very good job on here. Not sure if you can see, but my tape is overlapping. So I'm just going to fold it back on itself so that there's no overlapping bits. Otherwise your card might get stuck to the inside of the envelope. There we go. Okay. Get it the right way around. And then fold that bit up. And give it a good push down. Make sure you push firmly to make sure that it's really going to stick. And then we can do the moment of truth, which is to see if our card will actually fit in. Dun, dun, dun. So it's going to go in there. And it's the perfect fit. And then this will just fold down over the top. I've not actually pushed it all the way in. I can hear that I've actually got a little bit of tape stuck out. And that will fold down over the top. And there's your envelope. Depending on the paper or card you've used, you might want to write your address on a separate piece of card, maybe in white or a pale pink or something like that, and stick it onto the front so that the address can be clearly read. But there we go. All you need to do is stick the top flap down with some more double-sided tape or a sticker or a wax seal or whatever you want to use to get your lovely envelope all stuck down. So there we go. That is our matching envelope for our Valentine's Day cards. I hope you enjoyed this video on how to make these layered greetings cards for Valentine's Day. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel for loads more free SVGs and Cricut tutorials. Thank you for watching. Bye!